What up, y'all? This is Patrick Hayes, and the title of this video is How to Choose an Energy Healer, the Truth About Energy Healing. Now, recently I was asked in a comment from one of my followers to make a video about how to choose an energy healer. So here it is. Thank you for the inspiration. Okay, now the first thing that I want to talk about here is clarity. And this is probably what I would consider the most important thing when you're looking to find an energy healer or someone to work with as a coach or any kind of service that you're reaching out for help from someone else. And this is clarity. Clarity is ultra important because if you're not clear about what it is you're actually trying to heal, what it is that you're actually trying to accomplish by reaching out to somebody else to help you, then it's going to be really hard to find the right person or find the right fit for you. And beyond that, the more clear you are when you do approach this person, the easier it's going to be for them to help you. When I work with clients that are not clear at all about what they want to work on, then we usually have to go through several sessions of just clarifying what their intentions are before the answers can really start flowing, before the magic can really start happening. You may have heard of the saying, when you can ask a coherent question, then you can get a coherent answer. And that's a very true thing, right? Until you can really clarify what your question is or what it is that you're working on, you're not really psychologically or emotionally prepared for the answer to come through. It requires you to do your work, do your due diligence, actually go inside yourself and discover what is it that I'm actually trying to heal or what is it that I'm actually trying to learn here. And once you can clarify that question and put it in coherent terms so you can be direct and clear about what your question is, then the universe can open up to you and give you an answer or give you a solution. So clarity is key. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is the difference between a pure energetics kind of healing and a consciously aware kind of healing. Because these are two different kinds of healing methods. Now, a pure energetics kind of healing is very much an energy field healing. It's a healing that will work on your energy field, be a spiritual healing, an emotional healing. It'd be extremely profound and extremely deep. But it's something that the person being healed is not necessarily consciously aware of. It could just be some old trauma in their field that they hadn't really addressed and weren't really conscious of. But the healer was still able to clear that from their field. And then when they walk away from the healing, they feel this amazing lightness or like a weight has been lifted. And it can be extremely beneficial. And that's great, right? I'm not knocking that. But what I would say is that it's important to understand the distinction between that and a consciously aware kind of healing. Now, a consciously aware kind of healing is a healing where the practitioner will work with you, or preferably you came to the healing knowing what you wanted to work on, right? And then they can heal that, but do it in a way where you're consciously aware of what's happening and you're consciously aware of what you're healing. So you're aware of the trauma, you're aware of maybe the negative complexes that you might have surrounding particular issues, maybe the negative beliefs you have about yourself, or whatever the kinds of things that are hindering you actually are. And being aware of that gives you a greater capacity to hold on to that healing, right? So one of the things that happens when people get pure energetic healings and they're not fully conscious of what is being healed is that when they get that healing, they might very well go back into their life and they could recreate the same trauma or recreate the same pattern. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about, and this is something to be aware of, is miracle pill marketing. You see a lot of healing services that are sold through this kind of miracle pill thing. Come do this healing and it will heal everything for you. It heals absolutely. Look at all the things on the list that it heals. It does everything for you. And this is something to be aware of. Now, I'm not saying that certain healings like quantum healing or theta healing aren't things that can completely shift you in, a really short period of time. But what I am saying is that the kinds of people that actually have the capacity to do these kinds of healings are rare. And there's many more people that are selling healings than there actually are people that can perform these kinds of healings. So if somebody's claiming that they can quantumly heal you in one session of an amazing amount of ailments, or if they can do theta healing on you and completely shift your consciousness to something that's extremely different and extremely grand, then I would really check in to see what their reputation is. Because healers that have the capacity to really do these amazing healings like that, they develop a really powerful reputation really quickly. Because once, crippled people come up to them and can walk again, that's like a groundbreaking thing. And that word spreads quickly. So if somebody doesn't have a large reputation following them, if there's not a whole long list of tons of people that have been miraculously healed by this person, I would be really cautious about their claims. Now, they could be new to it. Maybe they do have this capacity. So I'm not saying that if they don't have a reputation that they're a fraud. But what I am saying is that be careful about that, especially if you want to conserve your money and you don't want to throw your money around. This was one of the considerations that the person in the comment made. They didn't want to spend a bunch of money trying to find a healer. They wanted to find someone in advance that would actually be able to meet their needs so that they didn't waste money. And if you start going around to people that don't really have a reputation for healing and expecting a major healing, you might find yourself spending a lot of money before you actually find the healer that fits for you. And another thing here to pay attention to is that walking into a healing session with the kind of disposition of, I want you to do this for me, do it for me, heal me, just take care of my problem for me. That's not the way to go about it, right? So even though you might be able to find somebody that has a great reputation for healing a whole lot of things, if you're not actually prepared to be healed and you're not prepared to do your work on your side, it's going to make the healing much less likely. So entering into it from a perspective of heal me, do it for me, is not really the way to go. You want to be prepared to do your own work and willing to do your own work. And actually, you want to have done as much work as you possibly can before you arrive to have a healing done. Okay, the next thing, and this is really, really big. This is do your homework and check the lineage claims of the person that you're working with. A lot of healers claim to be from different lineages, and many of them are. But then there are also charlatans that claim to be from certain lineages or claim to do a particular kind of healing that has a good reputation, but they haven't actually trained under a legitimate teacher. And this is a big thing. You know, I've seen a lot of people that do healings like Ho'oponopono healings, right? And they're doing these healings, but they haven't worked with the kahunas. They have no connection to the actual lineage of that healing. And the connection to the lineage is actually the power of the healing, right? So if you don't have a connection to the lineage, you actually don't have the power to heal using that particular methodology. And this is huge in the ayahuasca world, right? So there's tons of people that are posing as shamans that are basically just drug dealers wearing Shipibo gear, that line people up and take them into ceremony, but don't really know what they're doing. In fact, one of the things that actually happens quite often is they'll be singing the Icaros, but they don't even know what Icaros they're actually singing. So the Icaros are kind of the songs that are supposed to guide the medicine in an ayahuasca ceremony. They don't even actually know what songs they're singing or what the songs actually mean. And sometimes they're actually singing like war songs because, you know, some of the tribes the indigenous tribes that used ayahuasca would take it before war. So they would sing these war songs to bring in these particular kinds of spirits for like savage warfare. And they might even actually be singing some of these songs in a healing ceremony. See, so you got to be aware of who you're working with. So don't go ahead and just sign up and work with any shaman or any healer. You want to actually check their lineage. Actually, if they say that they're from a certain lineage, then like do some homework. Like figure out if they're actually from that lineage or if they have somebody that can vouch for that you actually trust. Now, another good key that I was given by a high lama was actually, if you're going to be choosing a shaman to work with, one thing to look out for is the color of their eyes. So if a shaman has a glaze to their eye that is red or yellow, then they're most likely a dark shaman. So you would want to stay away from that. You want a shaman that has clear eyes. So that's a good key if you're looking to find a shaman to work with entheogenic medicine plants. Oh yeah, one thing I wanted to mention. If you haven't already checked out my Inspirational Words MP3, I went ahead and put a download link in the comments. I pinned it at the top. So go ahead and check that out because it's something that's really powerful for inspiring you and helping you build motivation on a daily basis. A lot of people like to listen to it early in the morning right before they get started for the day, and it kind of centers them and puts them into the zone so that they can tackle life's challenges in a harmonious and flowing way. So go ahead and check that out. Now, another standard to hold your healer or shaman to is their ability to explain what they're doing. I feel personally, if somebody cannot explain to you what they're doing, then they don't actually fully understand it. It may be a difficult thing to explain, yes, but they should have some sort of faculty that helps them to be able to explain to you what it is they're doing. And if they're resistant to explain to you what they're doing, they either don't know what they're doing or they might be doing something that is less than trustworthy. A lot of people might say, well, I know intuitively, but like, you know, I don't really know like how to explain it into words. It's too powerful to explain into words. And that's a red flag for me. So don't be afraid to ask them. What do you do? Please explain this to me. Tell me clearly. And if they can't give you something that's satisfying, then I would maybe try to look somewhere else. And this ties into the last thing that I want to talk about too, which is buying into the actual healing. All of these different things that I've mentioned help give you more belief in what you're doing. Because belief in what you're doing is actually a major key, right? So even the placebo works 30% of the time. But when you set up all of these kind of checkpoints, then you're going to believe more in it. You're going to buy into it more. And that's a good thing, because if you're highly skeptical about the healing that you're getting, or you don't trust the person that you're working with, and it's going to be harder to buy into the actual healing, and that makes it harder for your energy field to actually be available for the healing that they might be administering. It's actually not that uncommon that people will go to a healing, but they're highly skeptical and their energy field is blocked, and therefore they can't receive the healing because they're overly skeptical. Now, I'm obviously not saying just naively believe in some healer and then that's gonna help them heal you. What I'm saying is that put them through a rigorous screening process, and then that screening process can help you to have a grounded belief in the person that you're working with. And then that grounded belief, that trust, is going to open your energy field up so that it can be healed. So think about all these suggestions. If I'm ever looking for a healer, these are, this is basically like the checklist that I go through. I make sure that they meet all these qualifications, and then I feel really good about working with this person. And it takes a little bit more time to put them through that screening process, but in the long run, it ends up saving you a lot of money because you're not bouncing around to a bunch of healers that disappoint you. If you do that too many times, you can start becoming cynical about the whole process of healing in general, and that can, put a deeper block to healing inside you. So thanks so much for tuning in. Like, subscribe, share with your friends. If you have any more comments or questions, go ahead and put them in the comments below. Hit the bell button if you'd like to be notified when I release videos. And I'm super stoked to talk to you next time. So one love.